Welcome to our weekly Q&A show where we answer submitted questions live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Hey, Freshie, it looks like you spelled your name right this time.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Aaron fixed it for me last time, I think.
Oh, that was nice of him. So this is our Tuesday show where we answer questions. I get emailed questions, Instagram questions. People pull Dougie over on the street and ask him questions. And we put them all in one place and answer them all on Tuesdays. And it's hard to answer questions in a email because a lot of these questions are like complicated and they depend on factors. So if you email me a question, I can't write that email. It's just too hard. Where in this video format, I can like maybe pull up a website or Freshie can have a discussion with me, or even somebody who watches the show can add in their 2 cents. It's way better than me just trying to write an email back. So that's why we do it in this format. If you want to ask us questions, you can email Aaron at riversoceans.com. For now, he'll hold questions. In the future, we're going to try to figure out a better way to take questions in. And with that, let's get started. BW, thank you for becoming a member. And members, if you help us answer a question, we may give you a prize. So, Dougie, if you think somebody answers or helps us enough, then we'll have some prizes to give away today. You want to get started?
Yeah.
You know what we need to talk about too is do you know the road closed this morning? The Rogue River?
You'd mentioned that to me, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to open up. It may open up tomorrow with some stipulations. Wow. So they closed it. There's a big meeting today, and they're going to basically put some stipulations on it, like how you have to run certain parts of the river and how we have to behave and things we have to do. But it may open up again pretty soon, but it definitely closed today. It
closed because of fire?
There's a fire, the Rum Creek fire, which is approaching Rainy Falls.
Yeah. So what do you think they're going to ask you to do?
Just don't go walking in the woods on River Left.
Okay.
Don't start no new fires, like common sense stuff. When there's a fire, avoid it. Get through Rainy Falls in the morning because the fire activity generally is more acts up in the afternoon. So if you're going to be near the fire, just do that in the morning when it's cooler, before afternoon winds and before it's dangerous. So just some common sense things you would do if there's a fire.
When is your last commercial trip?
September 22nd.
Okay, so you have another month to go.
We have 4 more rowing schools. We have 4 rowing schools and 1 regular trip. So we have 5 more trips to do. But we've already run like 30 some trips. So we're past the bulk of the season. But man, I'd love to run these rowing schools because there's a lot of people who are super excited for it. And I think we will. But I really think it's nice to do. Hey, Tin Man. So let's get started with questions. The first one this week is about oar length. In my drift boat and raft, I'm using 9-foot oars. I've read an article you wrote, I think, and then watched your video using a formula. I think I might be better off with 10-foot oars, especially my raft. Drift boat is 6-foot oar lock. The oar lock raft is 76. So, Dougie, do you know anything about drift boats?
A little bit. I don't know that much about them.
Okay, I don't know anything. So, in terms of oar length for drift boats, do you have any advice for this person?
I don't know how to compare it to a raft, and I don't know. Sorry.
So, in terms of drift boats, I have no idea. We have no idea. We're not drift boaters. We can pretend to be drift boaters and give you an answer, but that wouldn't be very good. If you're
it seems like it'd be the same.
As a raft. But I mean, drift boats are taller. Like raft tubes are usually like 20, 22 inches. Drift boats have these big, tall things, and they just row them differently.
They do row them differently.
I mean, you gotta wear jeans. You can't wear a PFD. There's a lot of different rules for drift boats. You gotta wear cowboy boots. Sure. So for the drift boat, we can't answer this question. I'm sure there's YouTube channel for drift boaters. For the raft, 76 inches. The formula that we use that we believe in wholeheartedly is multiply your oar lock to oar lock by 1.63. If you do that, I just did it on my computer. It's 123.88 inches, which is basically 10 feet. So I would say in your raft, I'd use 10-foot oars. I think you'd definitely be better off. Now, every setup is different. It depends on a lot of factors that could change it, but I'm going to say 98% of the time, 10-foot oars are going to work for this. All right, let's move on. I have a question. Why is it more common to build systems that are releasable under tension in equipment retrieval scenarios? What would a whitewater optimized releasable system look like? Huh.
What do you think? I mean, the thing comes to mind to me is PFDs and rescues. I mean, or the breakaway system that Aaron was talking about last week.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for adding your 2 cents because we have no idea what we're talking about drip boats, but it seems like that. I think what they're getting at, I think there's a second part to this question I'm going to get to, is if they're doing a 3-to-1, is there some system where you can just release it, like let it go? Right. So it sounds like some people are situations where you're forced to cut a rope in a rescue retrieval seem to be entirely avoidable problem. Nobody cares. Have you ever had to cut a rope in a rescue?
I did have to recently cut a rope, but there was a way to avoid it that I just was rushing because it was getting dark and I decided not to. But I had to lower my kayak off a cliff.
Uh-huh.
And I think I could have made a slip knot that I could have released from the bottom. But like I said, I was rushing because I had enough rope for both lengths. So I could have just tied a slip knot with the bite through it. And then I probably could have pulled that and then let the other one come through. But I just lowered my kayak with as much rope as I could, and then so I could keep as much rope as I could, and then cut it as high as I could. So I lost the minimal amount, but I still had to get a new rope for the throwback.
So I just found this thing that this gentleman's talking about that is a releasable webbing thing. It looks like they just wrap it around a bunch of times. That's what it looks like to me. That uses just friction. Is that what it looks like, Dougie?
Yeah.
So just a bunch of wraps, and then when you need to release it, you just undo the webbing, and it slowly comes undone. Even here it says soft releases.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, this is a good point. We did a review where the guy cut the rope. We did it. So it was 2 guys doing a 3-to-1, and they did cut the rope at the end. I remember that video. I've never done it personally. I've been on a lot of wraps. I've never done it personally. That's the first time I've ever seen it done in a video. This looks cool. My general take is that, rescue equipment, we don't train enough as guides or boaters. Like, we don't train all the time. If we were firefighters and we were training once a month on like fancy new equipment and how to use it, I think more complicated things like this soft release is a good idea. But because we train at most once every 2 years, I think keeping the equipment simple and so everybody understands it is important. So what would worry me is that some third party, like let's say you're an expert on how to use this soft release thing. Well, you're the only person who knows how to use it. And so there's nobody else in your party who understands that piece of the system. And so it'll be harder to set up. And when it's time to undo it, it'll create some complications. And so I'm a really big fan of like, let's keep all of our rescue stuff to simple stuff everybody has familiarization with, and not to start using more complicated things. And so a 3-to-1 with prussics and pulleys is not the sexiest, it's not the best retrieval system, but it's fairly simple, and it's one that everybody basically understands, or everybody should understand. And if we train on more things, all these different complicated things, we lose the core stuff. And so I'm going to say this is really cool, this soft release thing, but because we don't train on it and people don't understand it, I would choose to just not use it. What do you think?
What you said makes sense. I think it's very situational. I would love to see it in use, like how. So is it where you get it wrapped off a rock and then it's still tied to your rope and you have to release it in a hurry type of thing?
Yeah, I think that's what this person's getting at. And he asks here, it says, is it just a non-issue? I'd say it's a non-issue. I've been on 30, 40 wraps. I've never had this problem. Usually the boat just goes upside down and you want it on the rope and it swings ashore. Sometimes it creates a kind of a mess. And I've seen some messes, but I'd be just a big fan of not having extra gear and stuff that only 1 or 2 people understand.
Yeah, it seems like most of the time when you get a raft off, it's nice to not need to paddle it right away or know that that next step is not going to happen right away. So it's still connected.
Yeah.
If it's possible in that situation.
So, yeah, I'm going to choose to keep it simple. Like, and I'm a big fan of when you are dealing with the wrap or some sort of retrieval system, think about what's going to happen after it comes off. So if it comes off and it creates a problem, you might want to think about bringing it off a different way. That's my opinion. Haldor says Italian hitch plus overhand loop, a safety knot, easily releasable. Yeah, I just don't know the Italian. Do you know the Italian hitch, Freshie?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and I mean Freshie's an Eagle Scout, so you think you would know.
So easy.
So am I. Between us, we should know.
We'll look it up. I'm going to look it up for sure and look up these 3 knots together and see how they work. Because that's the concern, is that it's not going to hold when you need it to hold.
I think this would work. I mean, Haldor is a swiftwater rescue instructor.
No, I know. I'm sure it would. But
I think if you're teaching, again, if you're training firefighters and they train regularly on this stuff and they have it in their wheelhouse, then I think it's good to learn some advanced techniques like fancy knots or fancy things. But if it's like you as a guide or a private boater training at most every 2 years, and then you don't know, like I may know these things, but the people around me may not. If I tied this Italian hitch plus overhand loop plus safety knot, if I was the only one that knew how it worked and nobody else did, it doesn't really help. It's something that people should, I think, the whole team needs to be trained on and practice with. And you don't always know what your team knows. Where firefighting is a little different.
We had some tree trimmers come to our house this week, and they had some amazing systems for releasable systems up on top of the trees that they all knew how to use, and they got them down quickly. And I don't even know how they worked, but they were pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So my opinion, this is my opinion. I'm not a rescue instructor, so I could be. Haldor is. So he's somebody. Don't listen to me. Listen to Haldor. But my opinion is, let's keep the gear and the techniques to simple things that everybody has familiarization with, and it keeps things running pretty smooth. All right, Alan, was it Gleese? I find it really hard to believe they'll open the river if the fire has reached the river. Well, the fire hasn't reached the river. It's not that close to the river. And you say it was barely uphill from any falls. Did you go down there and look? I'm super curious, or just you were a Gleese. I've seen the maps from above, and it's uphill from any falls. What they're worried about is because it's steep, that like things will roll down the hill. But I think they're also worried about boaters just not being respectful of the area. And so I think there's a decent chance they open up tomorrow. I think that's what I heard last. I have pictures, but can't share. If you email them to me, that'd be awesome. Alan, to figure out how to get them to us. I'll bring them up. Thoughts on Middle Fork recent blowouts? Yeah, bro. I have a bunch of photos I shared on a member live stream yesterday. Aaron and I did a members only live stream that they're not my photos to just share with the public, so I can't just share them. But yeah, there's blowouts, and they blocking the river. We just flew. I was just on the Middle Fork a couple of days ago. We had to fly everything into Indian Creek. Cost us a ton of money. It's a lot of work. Flying a sweep boat in is a ton of work. My opinion is that they may or may not blow out when the water comes up. We don't know. So next year, the river is definitely not going to open up above Indian Creek this year. And then depending on a little bit of luck and river flows next year, the upper river may or may not open up. So that could mean every trip next year flies into Indian Creek. That's a possibility. So those are my quick thoughts. And Aaron and I did a longer stream about this yesterday, but that's some quick thoughts. Panic release snappage in sailing. Yeah. Do you think the upper part? Yeah. Maybe next year. Probably next year. I talked to somebody on the phone today that has been monitoring some of the log jams, and they've already seen some movement of the trees because it's unstable. Like all the dirt that's there is unstable. So there's already been some movement of the trees. So into my Jimbo. Sweet. Recently. Yeah. I mean, it's like even hardshell kayaking. Remember hardshell kayaking, Dougie? Like the boat doesn't, like hardshell kayaks like to veer off. You gotta actively work to keep them straight.
What's the Jimbo again? That's
the wing inflatable
Right.
kayak we use in the Chetco.
Yeah.
It's just like a big bulbous. It's like a pack raft,
Yeah.
but like stretched out.
The black one you have.
Yeah, but that's pretty common. I mean, even inflatable kayaks don't have to go straight, so you got to make correction strokes. But I'm glad you loved it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping on rescue stuff. Just keeping it simple. I'm with you here. It's just normal. Yeah, it's pretty normal. Because the paddler sits low in the water. Yeah, maybe like a rudder, but yeah, it's normal for any kayak to veer off. Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice it when I paddled the Jimbos. I didn't notice because I'm just used to it. It's pretty common. I think if I was to make that boat better, I might make the floor a little thicker. And so maybe when you call wings, see if they can make the floor a little thicker. That might make a difference. Or have it put a seat in there where you sit up a little higher. That might help a little bit too. Great. Yeah, Johnny, at least that map is really cool. That shows all the fires. Oh, I know a winter hinge. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. That would definitely work. Yep, you're definitely launching at Indian Creek Saturday. I think we're launching. Is that the 28th? We're launching our trip Saturday too. Thursday we get off. We launch Sunday. You'll see us. Well, we're flying in on Saturday. Cool. Check that out. Hopefully, I can work to some uniform picks. All right, let's go on the next question. Hopefully, we answered that one well enough. I'll look for these photos. Let's see. I don't see the. Huh. Yeah, I don't see the photos. I love rafting about the purchase of the boat. I mainly do 1 or 2 day multi-day trips per summer. Have the Colorado Roaring Fork Crystal Rivers. Okay, I've never done any of those. Have you done those, Dougie?
Mm-mm.
I'm on the fence. 15 or 16 foot boat. I thought the high side 15 Pro would fit the bill. I have 2 kids and 6. Feeling about the boat like the high side. I mean, it's a foot difference. They're both going to be fine. I mean, right, Dougie? What do you think?
Yeah. What is it? XT? What does that mean? Bigger tubes or anything? Something like that.
I don't know. High side. 16T. I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, I don't know enough of the difference to.
Here's the 16XT. Does it say what XT means anywhere here? Does anybody know what XT means? Pro. My guess is it's just, I don't know, better. It's like the IBM. Remember the IBM PC XT? Remember the first IBM PCs, Dougie? Or like in components, when you buy Shimano components, XT is a better component. I think it's just a little higher. Maybe there's like extra handles or something. Or
IBM XT?
Yeah. PC
Was it
XT.
desktop or laptop? Desktop.
Oh, this is back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like right when they got hard drives.
I was on Commodores back
then. There you go.
go.
XT is extra. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on Commodores. So, I mean, I'm going to go back to his question here. I mean, I'm a fan that the 16 is the way to go. If you're going to ask me, it's going to be 16. I think that's the ultimate boat. 15s are fine too. And if Aaron was here, I think he'd say 15 because he thinks if you maybe want to use it as a paddle boat, a 15 can handle thwarts usually, and you can use it as a paddle boat too. Or if you're on narrow rivers, I don't know. But my opinion is most people should just get for doing overnight trips they're rowing, should just go 16. Any thoughts, Freshie?
No, that sounds good.
Brett, thanks for becoming a member. We appreciate it. I think there's more to this question, though. River trips, Gates of Lador. These all seem like where I would want a 16. Maine salmon, I'd want a 16 over a 15. I'm also very interested in urethane boats. Cool. Yeah, urethane boats are great. They're a little more expensive, a little more durable. They're harder to roll. So if you're going to roll it a lot, like we're flying all of our stuff into the middle fork right now and having to roll it and shove it in planes. I'm glad we're not running our wings right now because they don't fit well on planes. Where the high side will fit better in a plane. It'll roll better and fit better in a plane. I'm being told I'm crazy for considering the high side. I don't know who's telling her crazy. Yeah, I think the high side 16 Pro XT is. I don't own one. I've never used one, but I bet it's a great boat. It looks like a cool design. High side's a great company. I just feel like that's a great boat. I need expert input. Well, you might have come to the wrong place. Sorry about that. We wasted all your time. It's crazy you guys haven't wrapped much in Colorado. Is there anything like Gore Canyon out west? I mean, if you say like Gore Canyon, you mean like a bunch of sharp, nasty rocks. Yeah, we have that stuff too. But there's California is full of rivers like Gore Canyon and more difficult, just without like the nasty rocks. So have you done Gore, Dougie?
Mm-mm.
There's a railroad next to it. And so it's sort of like the North Fork of the Payette. They just threw a bunch of sharp rocks in the river. So it's not the natural riverbed a lot of the time. And so it's like doing class 4-5, but with like some weird sieves and just some weird sharp rocks. It's hard to compare it to something out west. But yeah, we have like Cherry Creek is definitely more difficult than Gore Canyon. But I think way safer and cleaner. So Gore Canyon's like an easier Canyon with easier Cherry Creek with nasty rapids. So
I'd like to get out those rivers. That sounds good.
Yeah. Here Colorado's pretty cool. Extra tube, maybe like bigger tubes. XTs have 21-inch tubes. What does the 15 have? So let's look at let me go back to. We're on the 16. What does the 15 have? How do you navigate this website? Right, there's the website. How do I find boats? There we go, to get bigger. So we're looking at the Pro 15. So that looks like a cool boat too. I mean, I would maybe get the 15 if it had thwarts, and I could maybe needed to run as a paddle boat once in a while. But where is the tube diameter? Am I missing this somewhere, Fresh?
Construction there.
View specs. 21. Yeah, same tube diameter, 21 inches for this one too. So just a little bit narrower and shorter.
And there is a Pro 16 as well. Wonder what the difference is between the Pro 16 and the 16 XT.
Pro 16. Yeah, that's a good question. Does anybody know? Oh, this is a really weird design to me.
That's like a big paddle boat.
Yeah, I think this is more for paddle boating. And it just has really, it looks awkward to me. What size? 21-inch tubes as well. The interior width is an important detail. So here the interior width is 42 inches, which is solid. And on the Pro 16 XT, it's 48 inches. So it's 6 inches wider, which is pretty nice. I like this XT design way more than that regular one is weird. But again, just opinion. I believe non-XTs. I don't think so. The website said 22s. I think the pros are not self-bailing. I think they're self-bailing. This is what's sad here is that we don't know what any of this stuff means. Like that's high side needs to better explain.
Did it say? Or you could tell from the pictures, couldn't you?
Yeah, but we should know what XT means. Like high side should do a good job of communicating with us, like what all this stuff means. What boat has what? Like, what's a Pro Series? Why is a Pro Series different?
I think that's my gripe with every single comparison. Like when you go to a website and you compare two different items and everything they list is identical. I hate that.
But they have little terms that they understand as the salespeople. It's like Sawyer. Sawyer has the MX and MXG and the MXFG, but then the MXFG is now the MXG. Like nobody knows what this stuff means. And so I don't know what any of it means either. But that 16 Pro XT looks sweet. That's what I would get. And I've actually recommended that boat to one of our rowing school students. He got it and he loves it. So I know that's a sweet boat. The bullet 12-foot cataracts. There's one for sale in their mint condition. Do you mean cataracts or cataracts or oars? I think or like things in your eyes. I think you mean cataracts. I had one. I used to have one of these. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I think I had some D-rings come unglued on it. You know, the bullet boats are the same PVC boats that are made in China. They probably have a 10-year lifespan. They'll probably start coming unglued somewhere around the 8 to 10-year mark. That's just my guess, my opinion. Please don't yell at me, people from Bullet. But
is it like a shredder?
It's a cataract. It's like like 2 tubes, and you put a frame on it.
You put a frame on it.
Yeah, they're cataract tubes. I had a set for a while. They're pretty cool. I personally like I won't buy Vanguards or Bullets or Rocky Mountain personally because they do have a limited lifespan. And I'm sure all these companies are pissed at me for saying that, but I've just seen it happen so many times. They start degrading after 8 to 10 years. And so they cost less. They're super affordable, but they don't last that long. And I think from, Dougie's loves the environment. And so I'm Dougie's friend. So I want to take care of the environment too. So for me to buy a boat that's only going to live 8 or 10 years doesn't seem very woke. Right. And as somebody who wants to be woke, I am woke, by the way. I want my boats to last 20, 30 years. Like that's do it. By the time you like make the material, glue it together, ship it to a place. Like I'm a big fan of buying boats that last a long time. So even if I'm paying double or triple for a boat, if it lasts 2 or 3 times as long, I think that's the more woke thing to do. Any thoughts about that, Fresh? Am I doing the right thing?
I like what you're doing. I mean, it's so hard to calculate what impacts we all have and what makes what difference. But yeah, I like what you were saying.
It's not a no-brainer though. Like,
yeah,
a boat that lasts 20, 30 years is smart. Like you want your boats to last a long time.
Yeah. And it's time just sitting. Like even if you don't use it that much, it's just the lifespan, shelf life even.
Yeah.
Of like glued surfaces and.
So Sean says the pros are all self-bailing. I'm looking through Highside's website right now. All of their boats look self-bailing to me. Except maybe there's a livery series. It's not. Yeah, their livery series isn't. But the Outfitters, the mini series, the pros, almost all their boats are self-bailing. Highside drills like, what does that mean? Drills like a dream. Is that some lingo? I don't know, Dougie. Oh, rolls like a dream. Yeah. And so we have the NRS Hypalon boats, and NRS. So either any Hypalon boat or like they're kind of like Hypalon, Avons, classically, Highside, NRS Hypalon. They roll great, and that's why we run NRS Hypalon in Idaho, because we have to put them in airplanes sometimes. If you put a urethane boat like a Winger, a Sotar, or Moravia, if you roll it up, like it'll form corners, and if you shove that in a plane and it's like hitting stuff, it'll rub the corners. And although they're stronger on the water when they're rolled, it's easy to like on those folds, like abrade them and put a hole in the boats. So if you're going to transport your boats rolled a lot, I would go Highside or NRS. If you're going to generally leave them inflated or on a trailer and not roll them often, I would personally go urethane, Winger, Sotar. Bullet is not the new Vanguard. They're 2 different companies, 2 completely different owners. The owner is a guy. The owner of Bullet is a guy who used to own a company in India, who did multi-day rafting trips in India and was importing boats from the U.S. that had been shipped from China. So he was like, the boats are shipped from China to the U.S. and the U.S. back to India. So he went right to the factory to buy the boats he needed, and then decided, hey, I should sell these boats on my own. And he did a good job. I mean, they made great boats, but there's just limitations to PVC that you can't get past. They are heavy though. They're definitely heavy. I noticed that for sure. There we go. XT's wider. We finally got an answer. I just should you guys the pics should be show up eventually. Okay, I'll see if I can find the pics. Oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna stop stream. We're gonna look at these photos from going back.
This is the road.
Yeah. Do you see that, Fresh?
Yeah.
How did you get this photo, Alan? Is this hiking up on a ridge or a drone or something? So to me, that's not that close to the river. Like I would happily raft by that. That doesn't seem that close to the river to me. And that's from a lot of experience in boating in Idaho, and the river's constantly on fire. I think we could easily run trips through that. What do you think, Fresh? Is that like dangerous?
Not yet, but you said they're worried about like logs burning logs rolling down the hills to start more fires.
Fires. I mean, my experience, and I'm not a firefighter. I'm going to preface this with this is just my experience, my opinion, is that fires like to go uphill. They don't like to go downhill. They generally go downhill when something burns on that's steep and something rolls down and starts a new fire. And so because this is pretty steep, that's the worry that something's going to burn and then roll down and start new fires down lower. But they generally do like to go uphill more than downhill. So I'm not that stressed about this personally as a river runner. And the smoke is not going in the canyon. So
it's just the wind, huh? Mostly.
Yeah, I mean, if it was windy out, I'd be nervous. You know, if it was really windy, I'd be like, yeah, but if it's not windy, and it looks to me, I shouldn't say anything because I'm not a firefighter. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
They have made it down the hill about a quarter to a third of the way, it seems like, in that picture.
But thanks for sending the photos, Alan. Those are cool. You can add pay for high side thwarts if they aren't included. Are you trying to say you can pay more for thwarts? You can do that with a lot of boats. Yeah. The Air Cub. Man, we're going deep today. Let's look it up. I think I've used this boat or I've seen it. Oh, yeah. This is a really cute boat. Dougie, you would love this thing. Let's open this up. It's it's basically this adorable little boat. I think it's 9 or 10 feet. Does that sound right?
No thwarts, huh?
It has thwarts. I think it does. It just isn't shown there. Because see these guys, do you see these guys in this photo? There's thwarts there.
Oh, yeah.
10 and a half foot long. So this is basically high side hit it out of the park with the Mini Max. Like the Mini, and I have a Mini Max. It's a sweet boat. This is Air's copy of the Mini Max. And they did a really good job. It's actually a really good, it's their version of Mini Max. I think this is a boat that people love. You're not going to run this as an overnight boat. So it's, I guess you could, I'm not going to say never, but it's not going to perform well with a frame on it unless you're on a really small river. And it's probably a wonderful R2 boat, probably a really fun R1 boat, but it's like all Air boats. Air makes a great boat. So if you can't go wrong with an Air. If I was out to buy a boat like this, I'd 50-50. The Air Cub or the high side Mini Max. They're both great ones. Any thoughts? Do you like your Air, Freshie?
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
With the new law, Jim, how many outfits fly gear? I mean, we all are. I was at Indian Creek the other day, and we were there with 2 other outfits, and every day 3 outfits a day are flying in. So and there was fewer private boaters because private boaters either can't get a flight in. Like the air companies only have so much capacity, so they may not have space for private boaters, or they don't want to pay the cost of it. I think I don't even want to say what I paid, but it was expensive to get all of our stuff in. But if you're a private group of like 10, you're probably looking at like, depends on, it depends how many boats you have. I'd say you get 2 boats in for maybe like $1,000, something like that. Depends on how much crap you bring.
And how many flights is that?
You could get, depends on the air company you go with. Depends on the planes they give you. There's Islander, Gem Air, who we did go with, has Islanders, 206s, and I forget the name of the bigger planes. I always forget the name of these planes. You don't choose the planes. You show up with your gear and you're like, I want this in. Like, cool. We're going to get it in with however they have room. So you don't get to pick out your planes and say, put it on there. Lookout Road. Oh, cool. That's sweet. Thanks for getting those photos, Alan. Yeah, I think I have theories in this, but I'm not going to say them publicly. I'll just get in trouble. I was interviewed by a writer for the Grants Pass Courier this morning, so I'll just leave my thoughts. You can read the Courier in the morning. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Fires can be a problem. Shoulder lifted. One of the hardest things for us to do is get the word out that we're still open. Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen is the Rogue. Everybody like it blew up the internet that the Rogue is closed, and nobody ever. They don't blow up that it opens. That is a problem. All right, let's go back to our questions. All right, so hopefully we answer this question. Get the High Side Pro 16 XT. You'll be happy. It'll be great. The other boat, the 16-foot wing, the Surge. I designed that boat. I think it's absolutely perfect. I love that boat. But of course, because I designed it, I think it's perfect. But it's like $9,000, so it's expensive. And I wouldn't get the wing if you're gonna have to roll it a lot.
How much is the High Side?
I don't know.
16 Pro XT.
I think it's. I'll look it up again. I think it said it was like 8,000, 7,650. So that's still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another raft question. I'm really struggling to find my first raft. I'm a high school teacher over in Redmond with a 4-year-old and 17-month-old. Money's tight. I managed to save $3,000 from fixing and selling lawnmowers on top of my landscaping summer job. I want to get my family to float camping and thinking Deschutes, John Day, and other family-friendly rivers. Awesome. I also wanted to raft to fish from as I enjoy fishing. I'm thinking a 15 or 16. Same question. Is it possible to find a reliable, ready-to-float raft setup, raft and frame, possibly trailer to some price range? They'll be used a couple times a year in the last many years. It's gonna be tough, especially the trailer too. I think if you found a raft, like an old raft and a beat-up frame, you could probably get that for $3,000. But I don't think you get a trailer too. If anybody has the stuff for sale, put on Craigslist. But $3,000 is tough. I mean, I know. Yeah, I bet.
Our buddies got an old Avon. I think it's a 15 with the trailer for, I think it was under 2,000.
Really?
I don't know if it had a frame.
Was it a bucket boat or a baler?
I'm pretty sure it's a baler.
Huh.
That's a good question, though. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it's a baler.
I mean, something's going to have to give. Like, you may get you're not going to get exactly what you want. You're not going to get like the exact boat you want at the exact price that's going to last a long time. Like you can maybe buy something, but it's probably going to have 5 years of use or going to have some holes in it. Yeah.
That one that came with holes that I was talking about. But some Avons are easy to fix. Yep.
Maybe like if you got an Avon, a 25, 30-year-old Avon, those boats last a long time.
Yeah.
People are still buying Avons and they're still using them. And for doing, let's see, you wanted to do like Deschutes, John Day, probably the Grand Ronde. You don't need a perfect boat. You can have an older boat. What was that? Oh, actually, Aaron and I were looking at that boat. Somebody in the last show showed us these boats that were on Amazon. They're like $1,200, Freshie. That might be the way to go. I forget the brand of it, but there's a brand. If everybody remembers the name of the brand, remind me. It's on Amazon. It's shipped new boat for like $1,200.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the lowest flow you'd recommend that running the white salmon in the paddle boat? Oh man, I don't have a minimum flow. It's never been too low. And yeah, I'm back in town if you want to paddle this weekend. I know we're trying to touch base, Johnny SR. I just got back and I'm going to hit the white salmon this weekend. So let me know if you want to go. I'd be happy to follow a paddle boat down.
Is that Houston and Johnny's picture?
No.
No, it's not. Because you were on the rock. Yeah.
Yeah. Flying beat 20 minutes for the firestorm. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Was it 1988? I didn't even know about that fire. I know in 2000, there was a big fire there too.
There must have been.
I mean, we float by fires every year. I mean, you never know, but wind is a factor. Like if you feel like it's windy or wind is coming or there's something in the forecast, that's when you want to be really careful. Wind is definitely a factor. That's it. The Briss rafts on Amazon. Those are the ones. The they're a pretty sweet deal. I might go with that. A couple people swore by those boats.
That's maybe contrary to what you were just saying a minute ago about buying boat glass.
I get it, but he only has $3,000. What am I supposed to tell him?
Yeah.
I mean, buy a used boat and like that's better for the environment, right? Let's see. Let me go to this. I mean,
wow.
I guess if you bought, why isn't this popping up? Oh, I know why it's not popping up. I mean, I guess if you want to do the right thing for the environment, I mean, if it was me, I would say, hey, I know you've been saving up for a while. Save up for a couple more years, get yourself like more money, and then buy like a nice boat that'll last 30 years. That seems like the right thing.
How did you find this thing, Zach?
Somebody on the, I don't know, somebody sent it. They're talking about it in the comments a couple weeks ago, and Aaron and I didn't believe it. And they took it down the Grand Canyon. Wow. And somebody's like 200 days.
They've used it 200 days? Wow.
So, I mean, $1,600 for a 15-foot boat. I mean, it's a boat. And it even says having excellent resistance to tearing, tension, and breaking. It is a much more heavy-duty PVC fabric than other fabrics. I don't know.
And it's self-bailing?
Yeah, it has. So I think why it's so inexpensive is because it has one of those floors. They put a really simple floor in there. It's just like a basic floor with holes in the sides. And on top of that, I think this is what's going on. Let's see if there's more photos. On top of that, there's a, what's that technology they used to build airplane wings out of in SUPs with those strings in the middle? Drop stitch. I think that's a drop stitch floor just put on top of a regular floor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that makes it cheaper to ship and just manage because the drop stitch floor is separate. So I don't know. It seems like a decent, affordable boat.
So it's almost like it could be pulled out, the drop stitch floor.
Yeah, and then you would just have like a bucket boat floor with holes in the side. So it's a really, and NRS has done this with Star. They've done the same thing, the same design, which are also pretty affordable. Maybe they're the same price. No, not quite. $27.95. Here's Star rafts. But a lot of these Star rafts are the same thing. If you look, wow, there's so many different ones. Let's go to, yeah, these are quite a bit more expensive. But this one doesn't have that. But some of the Star rafts are just a raft. You can see this one. That's at least what this one is. This piece right here is just a piece of drop stitch on top of the floor. All right, back to questions. 15, 16. What type of boat should we be looking for? Older brand named Hypalon raft, slightly newer off-brand PVC. Like, sorry, we should have listened to this. 90s, thousands, Sotar, any red flags I should look for. Okay, so yeah, I mean all those things. Older brand name Hypalon raft is probably a good move, like an Avon. A Briss seems like pretty good. I don't know much about Odyssey. Yeah, any of those seem like they would work. Any red flags? I was told to bring out soapy water. The raft, don't look for too many patches. Also, that any patches on the floor is a deal breaker. I mean, patches, if they're done well, aren't bad. I'd almost be worried if there's no patch. I don't know. I don't know. Like I've been selling some boats lately, and people want to make sure there's no patches. I'm like, there's patches, but I had them done by Sotar. Did these, and where they patched it stronger than the fabric actually. But if it's a fat patch is kind of rubbing up a little bit and like kind of coming loose, that would be a red flag. Soapy water. I mean, the soapy water help you find if there's a bunch of pinholes. Yeah. I don't know. I think at these lower prices, you just kept. It's tough. It's really tough. Zach, I think what you're thinking of, Zach, was the 2000 fires. That's when, like, we had a trip. I wasn't on the river, but we had a trip. We had to evacuate from the Flying B. The flew in 2000. The fire came in real fast. They're definitely gonna brisk. It ripped on the first class for rapid. I took it on. There's no warranty at all. Oh, there you go. We had somebody else swear by the bris. Somebody else just like absolutely swore by them, but whatever. I have an inverter and blow pro. Everything's yeah. I mean, that's you don't need a trailer. Yeah, I mean, if you have an oar frame, you have a trailer, you have a boat and frame and oars and coolers and boxes. So I don't know. You almost need a trailer
For
to get
multi-day,
all the
yeah.
stuff.
Well,
You don't. There's ways around it. Like we used
Yeah.
to do it, Dougie. Like throw everything
Yeah.
on top of the rack and have a stack that's like 4 feet above the car.
yeah.
But
I remember Kevy's truck was crazy loaded down one time.
did you remember that time we drove Michelle Malay's car out to the green?
Saw the pictures. Yeah.
There was more gear on top of the car than the car was tall, and the cooler was on the trunk. Like we strapped the cooler on the back of the truck. It can be done, but it's not safe.
I don't have a trailer for my raft. We just roll it up and put it in the back of the Subaru, and that's been working fine.
But Fresh, if you had a full overnight setup, don't you think you would need a trailer?
I would want one. I just get by. I don't.
And they're
have
not easy
anywhere-
to. Yeah, it's just then. Yeah, the thing is, I tell all people in our rowing schools, you're gonna buy a raft, and then you're gonna buy a trailer, then you're gonna buy a truck, then you got to buy a warehouse to put
Yeah.
all the stuff. This rafting thing gets real expensive quick.
Yeah.
Or 10 years. Yeah, I mean these PVC boats, I hear this a lot. Like they work, but about 8 or 10 years in, they just start coming apart everywhere. Yep. Yeah, thanks, Blair. Thanks for all your support, Blair. Glad you like the Jimbo. All right, I think we have 2 more questions and we're done, Freshie. All right, new boater. I live in Middle Tennessee and interested in getting into whitewater rafting. I went some in West Virginia when I was younger and loved it. I've only been 3 times. I've rafted the Gauley, the New River, and the Coe. So I have very little experience and need some direction, so to speak. What would be a good way to get into the scene? Part of me thinks I should just get a raft and start going, but something tells me maybe that's insane. So if you have any advice, it would be rad cool. Thanks. Freshie, what's your advice?
Middle Tennessee. I don't know anything about that area, but look for some online groups, right?
Yeah.
Either on Facebook or whatever you can find for groups that go and join up and go down in their rafts if you feel comfortable on easy stuff, and get into the scene that way. I mean, the way that you and I did it was through a college program, so you could look for one of those too. They often invite anybody in. They have a guide schools.
Yep. I mean, there's some basic safety stuff that you could get from a guide school potentially. My advice is just don't go alone. Like, go with other people and look out for each other. I think that's super important. I don't think you have to take a class. Do you, Doug? You don't have to.
No. And you don't have to buy your own raft for a while.
Yeah, it's like skiing. You don't have to take a ski class or mountain biking. You don't have to take a mountain biking class. But there's certainly some. I think whitewater rafting can be more dangerous though than those 2 if you're making some mistakes. And so
start in class 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wear your PFD, get a good PFD, dress for the weather, learn about like avoid trees, man-made things, and have friends and look out for each other. I think that's the key stuff. And start small. If I was looking and trying to find something that goes over pinned raft safety, body position techniques, etc. Anything like that. I might. Let me look at something real quick. Hold on. Yeah, so I have an online, I have to find it here. We have an online, I'll pull it up here. Course that we created that has a bunch of things, and it's in the Whitewater Run course, but in the Foundations of Switchwater Rescue, there is let me see, big picture scene safety. Now I won't show it right now, but it's because you have to pay for the course, and this is an online course that we created a couple years ago in addition to YouTube. And the YouTube, we put a lot of stuff on YouTube. and I put as much as I can out there, but it's not organized. This is why you're asking me. It's not like in an exact place you can find it. We went out, and also with the online course, I hired a few people and we went out and we did a ton of video work to make a really good video about this. And so we actually, for this course, we went and, wrapped a boat, flew the drone, and then came back and edited all the drone footage with all the angles and everything and where people would place, and did a voiceover. So, this is something we spent a lot of money and time on to make it really good. And then the software you see here, this is software that organizes all the lectures in a really nice order. And so we pay for the software. Like I have to pay $1,000 a year just to keep this thing going. So some of the stuff that we have is in the online course, and that's just because it costs a lot of money to make it and to keep it going. And so you have to pay the money to watch that one. And it's under big picture scene safety. That specific one, but it has a bunch of other stuff in here too. And Aaron and I, though, we also did one of our live shows where I used that footage. So the footage I spent a bunch of money on I hired a few people and we flew the drone. We did a video review of that footage that actually covers a lot of it. And so if you can find it, it's there. But part of the advantage of this online course is that everything's organized and it's in one place, versus we have on YouTube, there's just a bazillion videos and I have no organization to it. You just have to kind of search through it until you find what you want. So it's the software we use for this helps organize all the education in one nice package. So if you want to see that video, we go back to this. You could search through our old live shows. It's probably in the first 10 live shows we did, or buy the course. I hate to be promoting something I sell, but that's why we did it, so we could have a nice format for it all. Any thoughts about that, Fresh?
No, it looks great. I love that show. The class. I've looked at a couple of those videos.
Yeah. Some of them are free, by the way. If you go, so a lot of these videos are free. If you go to the page, this is the Foundations of Switchwater Rescue. If you go down, some of these that say preview are totally free. So this one here, which talks about whitewater hazards. This is totally free, and there's a little quiz at the end. And so some of these previews you can just watch. There's this one here on boat-based anchors. All this stuff is free, with how to tie knots, how to do anchors. So, but they're not all free. So feel free to go through there and look at the free ones. Okay, back to here. So here's some answers. Rafting is yeah, it gets expensive. You buy the raft for $3,000 and you need a zillion other things. You know what an NRS revolution is, Doug?
Don't.
NRS revolution. Let me bring that up. It's no longer. This is pretty sweet, though. It looks cool. Why an NRS revolution? Oh, is this urethane? Oh, it's urethane. Huh. I wonder why they stopped making it. That was pretty cool. Johnny says, take a guide school course. Yeah, man, what do you think about guide school courses, Fresh?
I mean, it's a great way to learn the basics. It's a great way to go with a big group of people and get learning from their learnings. Yeah, I feel it's a good intro. It takes a lot of time and it might be a little pricey, but if you have a week.
Are there any guide school courses you recommend?
I guess I don't know that many of them specifically, but most companies have one, and a lot of universities have, or any university that has a guiding program or a river program has one.
Same positions, do butter and no. Yeah, so he's stoked on the course. Thanks for that. And class to go to meet people, hang out, to put in help to get people to boat in the water. You might just get right down the river. Yeah, the community is pretty friendly. It's not always the community is not always perfect though. So don't get discouraged if some people aren't friendly. Some people are having a bad day. But yeah, the community is generally pretty friendly. Generally pretty friendly.
Yeah, it like most groups, you just meet one person and then you meet all their friends and then your community grows.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, all these sports, skiing, snowmobiling, motorcycling, skydiving, kite
hang gliding.
surfing, hang gliding, they're expensive sports. Like the average person can't do. I mean, inexpensive sports, hiking, running, cross country skiing, snowshoeing. But if you want to move around and use things beyond just your feet, I don't know, then the gear is expensive.
Swimming.
Swimming, oh yeah. Do you go swimming today, Fresh?
I
Swimming.
did. I went.
What does it cost to go to the pool?
I think it's $5, but you can go in the Columbia for free.
Yep. Oh, they let you go in the Columbia for free still? The
Yeah.
government hasn't cracked down
I
on
swam and I
swimming in
watched
the Columbia?
sunrise from the water.
This
It's
morning?
pretty nice. Yeah.
At 6?
Yeah.
Oh man, I should have joined you. That's early though.
That's pretty early.
What are some things you think we should look for when choosing a guide school course? This is I'm gonna let you answer this in a second, Dougie. This
I
is
know.
really hard. I get asked a lot to recommend guide schools, and we don't offer one. I've been asked so much lately. I'm thinking about offering one, but ours would be expensive. Ours would be like $1,500 because I would only bring like the best people in. I wouldn't run a crappy course, and people that like at a very high level. And to bring in really high level people and do it really well, it's going to cost a lot of money. And so a lot of the people think guide school should be
You
cheap or
said
almost free.
1,500?
I'd probably
Oh.
charge $1,500.
That's not that much. You're
lot of
saying
them are like-
because it's a job interview and then that's kind of lame, but
Well, a lot of people think that guide school should be cheap because,
Sure.
because you're going to eventually work for the company and the
Yeah.
company should subsidize it. But what happens is when they're cheap, the company is subsidizing it, and they're just using their guides to teach it. And their guides might know a lot about rafting, but they might not be really well-rounded boaters. You know, they might do some things that are just not like by today's standards great. You know, because who's teaching them? And a lot of the rafting companies, I know this because I own one, and this happens to us. We end up breathing our own exhaust. We never have like outside people come in and share new knowledge with us. So like knowledge is shared down generations, and sometimes that knowledge veers off in a weird direction. And then sometimes the industry is evolving, and that stuff doesn't, if you're just breathing your own exhaust, you're not getting like the most up-to-date modern stuff, modern gear, modern techniques. And so a lot of times what a company will do is offer a guide school for like cheap and then pay a couple people to teach it. And they'll do an okay job, but those guides are not necessarily teachers. Like they're not trained on how to teach, and they're not trained on the latest and greatest techniques. And so you'll learn things, but it's not going to be like a high level course. This is my opinion about this. And so like if we ever offered guide schools, I'd probably fly Aaron over from Hawaii. I mean, Aaron's taught a bunch of guide schools. Aaron's world class. I want people like Aaron teaching it, so it's at a very high level, not just like some random people who've been like 4-year guides or 8-year guides. That's my opinion. So when you're looking for a course, I would go with a reputable outfit that you know is reputable, and I wouldn't do the cheapest one.
I think also there could be something said for just getting into boating. Like if you're just gonna end up going out of that and then starting at class 2 and working your way up, you'll get enough out of it, even a not so good guide school or a basic guide school.
Yep. I wish we had a
Like
better answer for you on this.
If there's in your area, it's hard to find them, but in your area, if there's just one option, maybe just go with that one and then work from there.
Yep. I'm a person who really values my time. So when I go do like a 5, 6, 7 day school, I want it to be super high quality.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to recommend courses because I don't know. I can't guarantee that it'll be quality. Like if I go so-and-so, they seem to have a good school. I want to make sure that you get something that's a high, when I recommend that's a high level, and I don't have a good recommendation right now for a guide school. I don't know any guide school where I'm like, wow, they're crushing it. If anybody knows of a really good one, let me know, because I'd like to be able to recommend one to people. Huh, that's cool. Most guide schools focus on. Yeah, I mean, Aaron teaches a guide school for Lake Tahoe Community College, and Aaron used to teach guide schools for ARDA. And Aaron would claim starting with paddle guiding is the way to go. I disagree with that. And when you say a well-rounded experience, does that mean including rowing, or does that include kayaking, ducking? But most of the reason that most guide schools, well, first of all, multi-day companies don't usually have to hire that many people. So multi-day companies don't normally do guide schools. It's mostly single-day companies that do guide schools because they have to hire guides. And so this is how they hire guides. And so single-day companies usually just do paddle boating. And so it's not just in the Northwest. You're right. Most guide schools are paddle boating. But in paddle boating, you will learn the basics of reading the river. You'll learn what to wear, how to swim, how to throw a throw bag, how to set safety, how to run. Hopefully you learn these things. Correct boat spacing, pumping up the boat properly, gear stuff, all kinds of different things. Yeah, I think that's reasonable for a quality class. Although, if I had it on my website for $1,500, people get really mad at me that I'm taking advantage of people. So that's part of the reason we don't want to offer guides. And we wouldn't hire people out of our guide schools if we did them, because we only hire 1 or 2 people a year generally. Great suggestion. And the South Fork of the American is a great place to learn. Thanks, Johnny SR. I teach a really great Groover school. Yeah, well, Freshie, anything to add before we shut this thing down?
Nope, that sounds good.
What did you enjoy your guide school, Fresh?
I did. I had a great time.
And for those of you watching, Dougie and I did guide school at UC Davis in the outdoor program. Yeah. Who taught you your guide school?
That was in 1995. So I had Tom Toy, Dan Cole, Mike Lindquist, Chris Anderson, Sarah Yarnell. I think that's it.
The fact that you remember your guide school trainers from 27 years ago says something about the quality of the trainers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
There might have been one more in there. Noel was in it. Noel was there. Gillian was there. A few others.
Huh.
Yeah. It was fun. I had a blast. It was cold. We had a few mornings that were icy. It was March on the South Fork. But it was a blast.
Sweet.
How about you?
It was Noel, Fea, and 2 more people. I can't remember who it was.
Probably
so Noel
more.
I did mine in 97. So Noel was in your class in 1995 and then taught my class 2 years later.
And that was Aaron was.
Oh, Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron did mine too. Noel, Aaron, Fea, and somebody else.
And that was typical 2 years, but we did boat a lot. So
yeah,
that 2 years, a lot of private boating mistakes were learned, I think.
Yeah.
In that 2 years. But yeah, no, it's not much experience.
Yeah. So Sean makes a great point. Junior guides is amazing for kids. That's Barry's program. Daniel's kids have gone to this, I think. And it's a great program. So for kids, that's the way to go for sure, junior guides. Now, not like adult guides, we're not really sure where to go. Yep, South Fork American. All right, Fresh. Well, let's close this thing down. I got to find the end button here. But thanks for being here, Fresh. It's good to see you. And we'll see you all on the Friday show.